Hello, hello, and here's Damiana. 2 days after operation at the vet where she's been spayed. I've been sort of waiting till she's finished her siesta, because she's leaping about like nothing's happened. If anything, she's become more affectionate and more playful. And there's Junus there as well. So that all went successfully. I'll show you, as promised, the receipt. For any of you that think there's no such thing as a one world religion, it already exists. You're all pay-agains, because you pay tax on something, or you get a license for something, and then when it comes to renewing it, of course you have to pay again. So here's the total figure it came to: €136.75, which of course is not the operation itself. That came to €95, but it's all the antibiotics and things, and the compulsory has to be chipped. So she's got this very nice little passport with little microchip details and things there, which you don't have any option to say we just want the operation. So, but you get a nice little booklet. I'm sure it's all worth it. But it's just typical of this reality. You pay and then you pay again. A pantheon of entities, non-living organisations. Is Damiana. Probably not quite lively yet. She was this morning, came all the way down when I was doing rambles and things. Well, both of them did, and almost like when Julia Simplicity Revealed used to go for the walks, and Rosie, in some ways very similar to Damiana, would go on the walks as well. So she's fighting fit. The clues are always in the words: antibiotic, antibiology. I feel there's no need to give all these things. One of the things is every 12 hours, the other one's every 24 hours, and there's a spray, but everything's successful. I'm sure Damiana would let me know if she's ripped out stitches. She'd be in pain. But interesting thing as well, now with a human being you could say it's placebo effect, like Reiki healing. But I did Reiki healing on Damiana. The day she came back, she wanted to play pretty much straight away. Totally unfazed by it, because I was thinking, what must it be like for a 6-month-old cat to be put in a plastic box, put into a car, taken to a town, encountering all these sights, sounds and smells, but absolutely no sign of being traumatized by it all. So it leads me to say a big thank you, absolute gratitude for the donations that have come in, which are paid towards that. It's took an enormous weight off the shoulders, but it is also, I'm going to say, a testimony that if you remember the future, as Neville Goddard advocates, you remember the future. So what I actually visioned was Damiana back here, and in good health, no complications. They're pretty much outdoor cats. They've got freedom of the land, and they roam. So even on the day Damiana came back, she didn't want to stay in. There's Junus here in the shade. Damiana's probably gone off exploring. May see her again before this video is out. But that's what I created in my imagination, and from progressive experiences almost sometimes on a weekly basis of having no sort of regular income, always facing these challenges. It's got to the stage now, and I've mentioned this on previous videos, where part of me, the lower self, is saying, why aren't you panicking? And the higher self is saying, well, look at the track record that things have always worked out. And sure enough, that is definitely the case. It is about taking active steps as well. So we've had a bit of a water shortage for a while, which is now resolved. I'm gradually refilling this tank with water. Had to do water rationing, and it was more just keeping the things alive, which has paid off, because I've done a tomato harvest today from this bed. I've got all these other tomatoes here. I don't know how well they show up on the camera. Hopefully you can see them there. Different sizes and things. But it is about visioning and keeping in mind, and this is the critical part, keeping in mind that where your attention goes, the energy will flow. So if you focus on that negative polarity, the false evidence appearing real, the fear, what if this doesn't happen, what if that does happen, this is what the conscious mind will continuously try to do. So it's becoming the observer of that and overcoming that and watching things unfold. Now, I do have an unfolding story that at the moment I feel is too early to share. It's a beautiful thing, and I will be sharing it in a future video, but I want to see how things develop a little bit further. And like I've said on previous videos, I will not advocate something unless I put myself through it first, because it would only be a concept. But when I put myself through a certain experience, I'm then in a position to say, well, this is my experience, and this is the outcome, or this is how I feel, this is the difference something has made. So I've been approached a few times by various advertisers wanting to endorse products, but unless it was something I was interested in, unless it was something that I thought, or the internal voice said, yes, this is the thing to go for, I couldn't put hand on heart and advocate something, because it's not about the income. Yes, the paper money is a necessary tool, but it's not going to become the be-all and end-all. It's just a tool, and it does come in marvellous ways, and it is by putting in this practice of remembering the future, creating the outcome in your mind. So for example, and this is something a lot of people will do, I've done it myself, you apply for a job, you're sitting there waiting, wondering, have I got the job, what if I don't get it, and all this sort of thing. And of course that worry, that negative thought that you're basically radiating out into the world. Here's Jonas here in song. He must have spotted something there. Probably a little lizard. Yeah, so if you focus on that negative polarity, that is exactly what you'll draw towards you. But even in the scenario where you got the phone call saying, unfortunately on this occasion you've not been successful, we can't offer you the job. What can happen is, if you still hold true to that desire, that vision, even when you're presented with that on the phone, you can overwrite that in your mind and change the outcome. And you may well find that you'll get a follow-up phone call. The person that we've offered the job to has declined to take the job, so we're now offering it to you. This is almost a parallel to with Neville Goddard wanting to get an honourable discharge from the US Army, which then gave him automatic American citizenship. It took him 9 days, just going with the law of assumption. In his mind, he's not on an army barracks. He's in New York, asleep in his bed at home with his wife, and it just took 9 days, even in the circumstances. But of course, the conscious mind can't figure out and see how it's coming. So the key, as I've said on videos before, is to do the unthinkable. All you do is create the vision in your mind of the outcome. You hand the rest over to the universe, basically with that surrendering to self and that admission that I of myself can do nothing. So you give it to the universe. It's like this operant power we could call God that's in everything and anything. It's like I acknowledge that I'm not as powerful as such in a sort of material perspective sense. But the interaction I have, and that you created it and put me into this environment and this physical body. So therefore you created it, you solve it. I admit to myself that I can't do it. This is the lower self, the conscious mind we're talking about here. And it's just, the only way you could sort of really describe it is magic, which is basically, I see, magnetism. It's always like an anagram, an acronym, as it were. This is why I look at the etymology, because it does reveal so much. So, I don't want to make this too long, but to reiterate again, a big, big thank you for those of you that have been so generous and have helped cover the costs of the vet's bill. It's certainly alleviated pressure off myself, because I feel like, well, I need to be putting into this as much as Keith and Grow, because this is what there was 3 cats. It was effectively one for each of us. So Junus was the one, this sort of my cat. Damiana is Grow's, and Charis unfortunately departed. But it's maybe a thing with cats, 2 males, and one said, well, look, this is now my territory. And of course there is other cats you see every now and again, so it may well just be with Charis, young cats with male hormones picking up on the scent, and that's the story I like to picture rather than that negative polarity. And it may well be that somewhere down the valley may even see him again. That would be the thing. It would just be nice to know that he's okay and settled somewhere else. But Damiana and Charis, this is their home. They enjoy the exploring, chasing anything that moves, even leaves when they blow in the wind. It's quite amazing, and the acrobatics. It's just a shame Damiana isn't in view, so I can show you how quick, even post-operation, she can just run up this cork tree here, for example. In a matter of seconds, she's right up the tree, and the cork bark is soft, so it's ideal for their claws to climb. So no sort of real sort of prophetic, earth-shattering, whatever. Just a big thank you, and just a testimony of hold true to that which you vision. Don't think about it. Don't allow doubts to come in, because who knows the time scale. The time in this linear sense, in this physical reality, has no bearing on what we would perceive as time in how things come from the unseen and become manifest in the material world. As a reminder as well, the Reiki, I offer that as a testimony And I feel that did contribute in a big way to Damiana's hyper recovery from the operation at the vet's only 2 days ago. There's also the 3-card tarot card readings. There's the befriending service if you are struggling with depression or anxiety or panic attacks, things I have personally been through and have come out the other side. And nothing gives me greater pleasure than to listen to you and then be able to say, well, have you looked at it from this perspective, rather from this, as things seem, with a very sort of negative perspective. I don't know how to get out of this, I'm worried about this, how am I going to do this, what if this happens, and all these sort of things that the conscious mind will continuously try to create. We're in a realm of duality, so the conscious mind, the lower mind, will always look for problems to solve, and it's continuously creating. But when you bring yourself back into balance, into the middle, and you become that co-creator and realize that you are interacting with something in the physical sense far greater that you just can't see, but it's here, there and everywhere, and yet nowhere at the same time. It's an amazing, just to witness what I describe as the beauty in the timing, in the present moment, just watching the way things unfold. And I will have this wonderful testimony I will be sharing with you maybe in about 3 or 4 days. Like I say, it's unfolding. I'm not going to hand it over to the low conscious mind to try and predict or try and figure out. We just let things unfold. And it's already a very positive thing. That's all I'm going to say at this stage. So I hope that has lifted you up, inspired you in some way. And like I say, if you're struggling anyway, details in the description. Just drop me a message or an email. And if I can help in any way, I will. But if I will be honest, if it's something I know nothing about, then I will say, I really don't know. I'm not going to try and bluff my way through. But the door's always open if that is something that you feel may help you. This is the key thing. Go with what feels right to you. Until the next video, as always, unconditional love to you all. And here's the star of the show in the topic sense, and of course Damiana. Just that's it. Look at the camera. Yes, good girl. I think that's Damiana saying hello from myself, as it were, there. And she's purring away here. It's still sort of a bit early. They normally become a lot more active as it gets cooler. But when I do this watering of like the tomato plants, they're generally not far away. They follow me around. It's a beautiful, lovely experience. So unconditional love to you all.